So a lot of y'all been asking me about how do you create formulas, and you could have gotten through probably every other part of these two assignments about creating formulas without actually coming up with one. And that's a big part of the course. I want you to understand that you can get through anything in life without knowing formulas. But if you do know how to create them, sometimes it makes things go a lot faster and easier. And that's really what I'm trying to drill to you through having to do these things over and over. If you take the time to come up with a formula, a lot of times it just makes it easier. So here's two situations that represent what you did on both of those assignments. This one, you've got a job that makes $12 an hour, but there's this other little bonus. You get $100 per paycheck because of the certification that you hold. So let's just run through and look at how much money you make each for 1 hour, 2 hours, and so on. So what I'm going to do is just kind of write out how I would put this in the calculator. So I'll say equals because that's what we do in the spreadsheet, but it's just to kind of make it look like the spreadsheet. So I make $100 just for having this certification before I even do any work. And then I would make $12 more for that hour I worked, so it'd be 112. All right. What's really key here is thinking about what you're typing in the calculator. And sometimes seeing it written out will really help you see what to do. So for 2 hours, I get that $100 plus I get $24. And most of y'all probably can do that without a calculator at that point. At some point, you're probably going to need a calculator. Depends on how good you know your times tables for 12. But $100 plus 3 hours. So let's say you forgot your times tables here. Well, I make $12 an hour and I work 3 hours. So that's 12 times 3. Okay. And actually, for creating a formula, it's probably better to see it this way anyway. That's $136. Okay. 4 hours. So I get my $100 bonus. Then I get $12 times 4 hours. It's $148. For 5 hours, it's $100 plus $12 an hour times my 5 hours. And that's going to be $160. So here's the key. Look at what's staying the same and look at what's changing. All right. So for every one of these things, you've got $100. That's not changing. You get that $100 bonus. For every one of these, you make $12 per hour. That's never changing. What does change is this number, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, so now you have to ask yourself, where is this number coming from? And I picked something with money because y'all are probably pretty familiar with this idea. You multiply how much you make times the hours you work, and that's your paycheck. So it's going to completely depend on how many hours I work, and that's how much money I make. And that's probably a pretty basic idea most of you are okay with. So the variable is the thing that keeps changing. So look for the things that stay the same. And those are just, we call them constants because they don't change. So you just put those in. The things that you see changing, that's the variable. And the thing that you basically control, I mean, you have a decent amount of control over how many hours you work. I guess you could argue your boss sets your hours, but you can always tell them, I want to pick up more shifts or something like that. So the variable is the thing you have the control over. It's the thing you're putting in here, the thing you're changing to impact the outcome. So let's go to the spreadsheet now and think about a formula. So that one's for the next one. So hours and pay. All right. So for a formula equals 100, because I get that $100 bonus. That's happening every time. Plus 12 times something, because I make that $12 every time. The only thing that changes is the number of hours. So we can go through and type 1, and then we can go through and type 2 next time, and so on. But you're just way better off if you just click right there. It's easier anyway. If you want to put 1 in there, just click on it. All right. So what you're going to see is that it shows the cell that the number 1 is in, and that's the variable. It's the thing that's going to keep changing. Everything else stays the same. So we leave 100 and leave 12 just typed in. And there's that 112. Now, the key thing here is I can just drag this down. If these first 5 match what I came up with, then I did it right. So that's how you check. And that's why I want you doing this part first. Because if you get this part right, and then you try your formula over here, if these match, you've done it right. You're good to go. One other thing I've seen a lot of you do, be really careful. If once you type a formula in, don't grab multiple cells. Just grab the one that's got the formula in it, or any one that's got the formula, and drag that down. Okay, and you can drag it down as far as you want. But there's how much money you'll make depending on how many hours you work. All right, and that's direct variation. For those of you that remember some of that stuff from back in probably Algebra 1. The next situation is called inverse, and that's the way I titled these. So let's say you got to make 10,000 gift bags for, I don't know, some event. Okay, so you got to put candy and stuff in a bag, kind of sort them out. And it's going to take a long time for one person. So you try to get some help to do it. All right. So if I can convince one other person to help me, then this was interesting. Most of you came up with it. And you said, oh, it's 5,000. Or at least the other one, talking to y'all, most of you were able to tell me what it should be. And it was interesting because you just kind of do this in your head without even thinking a lot of times. You cut it in half because there's two people helping. So what I'm doing is 10,000 divided by 2. Okay. And for 2 helpers, you have 10,000 and you divide it by 3. Okay, which that's going to be basically 3,333. And the roundings, I'm not too worried about rounding here. 3 helpers, you have 4 people because you're helping, plus you got 3 other people helping you. That's 4 total. So that'd be 2,500. And then we have 10,000 divided by 5. If you have 4 helpers plus you, that's 5 people total. So that gets you down to 2,000. Okay. So again, if you've got all this stuff done, then you don't have to, or you got it to check by anyway. So let's go over here and try to make a formula out of it. So number of helpers and number of bags each. So let's look at what stays the same, what changes. 10,000 stays the same. There's 10,000 bags to be made. That's never going to change. I need that done. What does change is how many people I can get to help me. So the variable is how many people are helping me. And it's just a little tricky here because 1 helper means 2 people total. 2 helpers is 3 people total. And so you just have to be careful with that. But here's the easy way to do it. So 10,000 equals 10,000 divided by, all right. Now, if I have 1 helper, that's 2 people total. So all I got to do is, there's 2 right there. Click on it. There we go. I'm going to do it one more time without dragging it down here. Because if I have 2 helpers, that's 3 people. There's 3. And that pattern seems to be holding. It's just, if I drag this down, look at the formula, B6 is 4. That's what I wanted it to be. So that should do it. And it seems to be matching, so I think we're good. And you can just pick one of these, drag it down, and there you go. So let me know if you can go back and change these at this point. If it's locked and you need me to open it back up, just send me a message, send me an email, and I'll take care of that for you.